Hello there, and welcome to Simple Science. Today we examine a disturbing virus that is surfacing again and the science behind it. About 2 decades ago, doctors declared measles eliminated in the United States. In 2025, more than 2,200 Americans got measles anyway, the highest number in over 30 years. And 3 people died from a disease we thought we'd buried with the 19th century. In the first weeks of 2026, cases are still climbing, and most patients are completely unvaccinated. This isn't a new virus. It's the same old measles, and somehow we invited it back in. If you want clear, simple breakdowns of modern science stories like this before they become tomorrow's headlines, click the subscribe button now so you don't miss the next outbreak we can still prevent. In the year 2000, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention certified measles as eliminated from the United States. That milestone was more than a badge of honor. It meant that for at least 12 straight months, there was no continuous, homegrown chain of measles transmission anywhere in the country. But elimination didn't mean the virus was gone from the world, or that Americans were forever safe. Instead, it meant the country had built a strong enough wall of immunity that even when measles was brought in by travelers, it couldn't spread very far. That wall was built on near universal vaccination. In 2000, about 95% of children in the United States had received both recommended doses of the MMR vaccine. The CDC's own reports from the time made it clear elimination depended on keeping vaccination rates high, everywhere, every year. Dr. Rachel Rosen, a pediatric infectious disease specialist, put it this way: elimination is a moving target. It's not a trophy you win and keep on a shelf. It means you're always one missed batch of vaccinations away from seeing measles again. The difference between elimination and eradication matters. Eradication would mean the virus was wiped off the planet, like smallpox. Elimination just means we're holding the line in one country, for now. The CDC's rules are strict. If measles returns and spreads for more than 12 months in a row, elimination status is lost. That's why the label was always conditional, a promise kept only by constant vigilance and by keeping that 95% coverage intact. When coverage slips, even a little, the virus can find its way back in. Measles is not just contagious. It's one of the most contagious viruses ever measured. Scientists call this its basic reproduction number, or R0. For measles, that number sits between 12 and 18. In plain terms, one person with measles can infect a dozen or more people if no one is immune. Compare that to the flu, which usually spreads to just 1 or 2 others. This is why measles is sometimes called the perfect storm virus. It finds every crack in our defenses. Dr. Luis Martinez, an epidemiologist with the World Health Organization, likes to explain it with a simple image. Imagine a dry forest in late summer. If every tree is green and healthy, a spark lands and goes out. But if even a small patch is dry brush, that same spark can set off a wildfire. In the world of measles, vaccination is the water that keeps the forest green. But the virus only needs a little dry brush, a few unvaccinated people clustered together to catch and spread. Mathematically, the line is drawn at 95%. That's the level of 2-dose coverage needed to keep measles from spreading. Drop below that, even by a few points, and the virus starts to move. Globally, the average 2-dose coverage was just 65% in 2023, according to UNICEF and WHO. That means huge swaths of the world are dry brush, waiting for a spark. Even in countries with higher averages, the virus looks for and finds any weak spot. This is why small dips in coverage can have outsized consequences. Herd immunity for measles isn't a cushion, it's a tightrope. If we slip, the virus is ready. In 2025, the United States recorded 2,280 confirmed measles cases, more than any year since the early 1990s, according to the CDC. By the first 6 weeks of 2026, that number had already climbed by another 910 cases. 3 people died in 2025, the first US measles fatalities in years. Hospitalizations followed a similar pattern. 246 people were admitted in 2025, including more than 100 children under age 5. The CDC reports that nearly 1 in 5 young children with measles needed hospital care that year. In early 2026, 30 more patients had already been hospitalized by February. These numbers are not just statistics. They represent a reversal of decades of progress. The overwhelming majority of cases, 94%, were in people who were unvaccinated or whose vaccination status was unknown. The surge didn't happen everywhere at once. Instead, cases clustered in certain communities, raising a new question. Where exactly did the wall of immunity break? And why now? A closer look at the 2025 numbers reveals a pattern hiding in plain sight. Measles didn't sweep across the country at random. It flared in clusters, concentrated in places where vaccination rates had quietly slipped below safe levels. The West Texas and southern New Mexico border region became a national hotspot, with some districts reporting MMR coverage well under 80%. In these areas, the virus found exactly what it needed: groups of unprotected children and adults living close together. Out of the 2,280 United States cases in 2025, 86% were part of recognized outbreaks, not isolated events. CDC data confirmed 49 separate clusters that year, each one a direct result of local immunity gaps. Dr. Ethan Cole, an epidemiologist tracking the spread, points to the county-level maps. The highest case counts always overlap with the lowest vaccination rates. The same story played out across the Americas. PAHO recorded a 30-fold jump in regional cases from 2024 to 2025, rising from just 466 to over 14,000. These numbers show that measles hunts for weak spots, and when it finds them, the results are explosive. In 2025, the math of outbreaks led straight back to people, specifically to the growing number of children who never got a single measles shot. The CDC counted 286,000 zero-dose kindergartners that year, more than double the number from just a few years before. Dr. Sarah Kim, a pediatrician in Dallas, started noticing the pattern in her clinic. Parents who once followed the schedule were now holding back, worried by rumors and online debates that felt impossible to pin down. A single meme about MMR side effects reached over 1 million views in a week. One Facebook group devoted to so-called vaccine freedom ballooned past 100,000 members, trading stories and links that fed on fear. National surveys tracked a 3-point rise in vaccine exemptions since 2020, as more families claimed philosophical or religious reasons to opt out. Pew and CDC polls showed a steady drop in confidence, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. In some neighborhoods, Dr. Kim saw entire playgroups where no child had been vaccinated. The result? Invisible lines on the map, where measles could land and spread unchecked. These gaps in protection were not just numbers. They were the direct result of hesitancy, misinformation, and a growing sense that official advice could not be trusted. In early February 2026, the Pan American Health Organization issued a stark warning. Measles transmission across the Americas had not just continued, it had grown, pushing the region to the edge of losing its hard-won elimination status. The rules are strict. If any country sees continuous transmission for 12 months, the certification is revoked. For the United States, that 12-month clock started ticking with the first outbreaks in early 2025. Now, with cases still being reported in 2026, the risk is no longer hypothetical. Dr. Diego Gomez, a regional advisor at PAHO, described the situation as a public health emergency that could erase decades of progress. The United Nations amplified the alarm, noting that only 1/3 of countries in the Americas met the minimum vaccination targets. The question facing health leaders is immediate and urgent. Can the chain of transmission be broken before the 12-month deadline passes? Professor Annika Shah, a leading outbreak modeler, lays out two futures. In the first, vaccination rates climb back above 95%. Catch-up campaigns deliver 300,000 extra MMR doses to children and adults who missed out. The models predict that with this level of coverage, the United States could prevent nearly 1,800 cases in a single year, turning the tide before measles regains a permanent foothold. Ahead of the 2026 World Cup, organizers require proof of vaccination for all players, staff, and international fans. This step alone closes off one of the biggest risks for global spread, making mass gatherings far safer. But if coverage stays low, the models show a very different path. Measles becomes endemic again, with 2,500 to 3,000 cases every year. No longer a rare visitor, but a constant threat. Outbreaks would keep flaring up in schools, hospitals, and communities, each one a reminder of what was lost. The difference between these futures is not a mystery. It's a matter of will and of action right now. Right now, the United States faces measles outbreaks, not because the virus changed, but because our defenses did. CDC data show even slight drops in vaccination can break herd immunity for everyone. The choice ahead is simple: restore collective protection or let old dangers become new normal. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so this can reach the ends of the world.